Hello, guys, and welcome to Cricket Caviar. Today, we are going to talk about the historic series loss. It is indeed historic that India has lost a Test series after 2012, and that too to New Zealand, who had not won an away series since WTC started. They were only winning in home. They had not won an away series in any WTC cycle. They are already WTC champions, but they have not won an away series in WTC cycles, both the WTC cycles. So how could India lose to a New Zealand side which had just a captaincy change? Their main batsman was not present. Their legendary fast bowlers who helped them win WTC were not present. What actually happened? I'm going to tell you a very interesting story, guys. So just stick around. We are starting from a moment in 1969. Here is an interesting story that probably you may not have heard. This is New Zealand's captain Graham Dowling. Currently, he is 87 years of age, and he also came from the same region as Tom Latham and John Wright, both the other captains, to win a Test match in India. And this was the series in 1969 which New Zealand could have won. They won the first Test match in Nagpur. They lost the second Test match in Mumbai, and the third Test was in Hyderabad. Now, when they arrived in Hyderabad, this is what happened. There were some riots actually because a spectator came to greet some Indian players, and the army or the armed guards actually handled him in a very inappropriate manner, which angered the crowd. So there was a riot. Plus, there was also some issue that Nawab Patodi, who was captain of India at that time, he didn't. He was playing the game at a very slow pace. Even the umpires were supporting him. And when there was rain on the final day, New Zealand were just 3 wickets away from a stunning series victory. And Graham Dowling would have been a legendary captain. He had already won a series in Pakistan and he was going to do the repeat in India. This was going to be an epic series when for New Zealand, who were considered as the small brothers of Australia, they would have won a series in Pakistan and India. They would have conquered the Indian subcontinent. But no, the rain comes and then there is lot of drama. There are a lot of women on the field who are trying to just sweep the water of the covers, and there seems to be a deliberate delay in the proceedings. You can see Nawab of Patodi standing afar from the proceedings, not interested to get the game moving, but you can see Mr. Graham Dowling, he's there helping the woman. He's trying to get the game on, but the umpires are looking, they are giving a pensive look. They don't seem interested that much in getting the game on. And so you will be shocked to know there were actually Indian spectators who shouted New Zealand Zindabad, shame, shame, Patodi in Hyderabad, because they were not happy that Patodi was trying to stop the resumption of the game. And you can see the news article. This is from the Hindustan Times at that time, where it's written New Zealand skipper Dowling himself helped the groundsman in mopping operation despite objection from the umpires. He and his teammates with some spectators from sympathies were obviously with the visitors. So wow, that's a great thing. And you can see the scorecard here. India was 76 for 7. They could not have won this match. They were much behind in the first innings. They got bowled out for 89, and it was almost impossible for India to win. So they were trying to save the test match. And I'm going to tell you an interesting thing here. Here, you can see the batter who has batted the most number of minutes was Ashok Gandotra. And Ashok Gandotra only played 2 test matches, and both the test matches were against New Zealand. And today we are mocking Virat Kohli because he's settled in London and he's coming to India to play the test matches. But at that time, you won't believe Ashok Gandotra. So he was born in Rio de Janeiro, and his father was actually part of Indian Foreign Services. So he was, born in Rio de Janeiro, and yeah, the foreigner player actually stood up for India and batted 64 minutes, and he was out. But Eknath Solkar, who was also making his debut, actually batted 58 minutes, and both of them together saved this, along with the rain and the umpires and Nawab of Potodi not interested to get the game going. They actually saved this test match for India, and they saved a series loss from New Zealand in 1969. This is the year when Neil Armstrong went. This is the year when Neil Armstrong actually went to the moon. And this could have been the year when India lost to New Zealand its first test series, but it didn't happen then, and it never happened again till today. Till this date, it never happened again. It could be also the reason that the rain gods were, so generous for New Zealand during Bangalore Test, because whenever India were ahead in the game, the rain came, and this must have been you can call it the curse of Graham Dowling, because he had rain steal away a series win that he truly deserved. So this could be the another factor. And let me tell you guys that India has lost two more test series, in the past, in this century, and it was to England and Australia. These are the big names of cricket. Obviously, England and Australia. The test cricket started with them, and there were two very experienced spinners. Monty Panesar and Graham Swan. Graham Swan had already toured India. Monty Panesar had already toured India and won a test match in India. So these were very experienced players, and Shane Warne had toured India multiple number of times. But what fascinates me is that in these two series, actually you can see that ESPN Cricket for actually made a list of 20 balls of the century of this century, and two of the balls were from these two series. One was Monty Panesar to Sachin Tendulkar in Wankhede pitch, leg hit of Silence of a City, and of course. You had Shane Warne to VVS Lakshman in a stunning fashion in Bangalore. Actually, the first test where Australia took the lead. So you had those kind of moments, and plus Monty actually gave an interview where he told that he actually practiced with a coach called Neil Burns, who actually made him bowl so much that he was feeling fitter throughout the series. He was not getting tired. He was bowling with a great action in this series. And Australia were chasing something called a final frontier. And even after retirement of Steve Waugh, they managed to do this. They got lucky with a pitch like Bangalore in Nagpur. But essentially there were some balls of the century by some great spinners of this era, Shane Warne and Monty Panesar. And of course, Graham Swan was in supporting act. You had Jason Gillespie and Glenn McGrath also playing. So you had some great bowlers in this test match. But let's talk about Mitchell Santner. Is he in this kind of category? Mitchell Santner has been part of CSK since 2019, and he has played only 18 games. But what is most fascinating is he has played 29 test matches, but he has never even picked a four wicket haul. So you can see the 7-6 is actually the wicket column. If you see the last two entries, just 7-6. But if you see, there is never even a 4-4 in his career. He averages 36. He averaged 42 in first class cricket. He has never even picked a 4-4. And now he's here with the 7-4 and a 6-4. And also, I want to say CSK played a big part because all their major players, Devon Conway, contributed a lot in this series. When Rachin Ravindra obviously contributed a lot. Darrell Mitchell has taken some good catches in the slip. And of course, we know what Mitchell Santner has done. Mitchell Santner has played only 19 matches for CSK in last 5 years. He has been with the team. So is the reason, one of the reason why New Zealand beat India is Stephen Fleming, because he's the underground mastermind. We'll come to that. But what happened to Devon Conway after the first match of the World Cup where he scored 152 not out versus defending champions England? He's been absolutely shite. I mean, look at his scores after scoring that 152. He has not got any scores till he got a 61 odd in Sri Lanka, from where his form actually changed. But we all knew he was always a good batsman, but he was having a terrible run. So how this, thing got changed just right in time for a series in India, especially when Kane Williamson was absent, and their best, probably the most legendary batsman was absent from the team. Trent Bolt has retired. Neil Wagner has retired from Test cricket, and yes, and I want to say that it's not like this is New Zealand's best era. New Zealand had a golden era in 1980s. You would be very very shocked to know that New Zealand actually beat Australia in 1985, and you won't believe the next two facts that what I'm going to show. New Zealand actually beat Australia in two test matches. One was in Perth and one was in Gabba. Imagine a team going to Australia and beating Australia in Gabba and in Perth, which are considered the fastest pitches of Australia and the stronghold of Australian cricket because of their impeccable fast bowling. And beating them there in itself is a big achievement. And the star of this show was international man of mastery, which is Richard Hadley. How he dominated the series in the bat. It was Martin Crowe who actually scored 188, and what they did was not just win the 1985, but in 1987 they go there again, and they could have actually won the last test match. But it was these two tailenders. You could see them on the left. This is Mike Whitney and Tony Dodemaide, who actually helped them to save this test match. They were nine down, and there was an umpiring error at the end when Danny Morrison. You could see Danny Morrison, who just not lifts anchors, female anchors, but he used to do a lot of heavy lifting when he used to bowl. He was actually on fire, and there was an umpiring error when Danny Morrison was absolutely furious. And Danny Morrison has made a comment that I'm still having therapy from that Boxing Day Test match in 1987 because the umpire gave it not out. It was plumb LBW. Mike Whitney was out, but the umpire gave it not out, and unfortunately, New Zealand couldn't win the series, but they still managed to draw the series, which was a big deal. And even Jan Smith, the commentator and the wicketkeeper of New Zealand at that time, says that this Test match was taken away from New Zealand. So yeah, you could see. I mean, New Zealand were so brilliant in Australia in the mid '80s. They won in Brisbane, they won in Perth, and even in that series, uh, it was incredible fight from New Zealand. Last stand, you can see 230 for 9. They could have leveled the series, retained the Trans Tasman Cup, but they were not able to do that. And yeah, Australia won that series, but New Zealand had a great chance to retain the Trans Tasman Cup. So yeah, actually they lost the series 1-0. They didn't draw it. That's what I think I said that wrong. But yeah, it's incredible what they still did. They could have taken that last wicket and retained the Trans Tasman Cup. How did it all started? What was New Zealand going through before this series started? I'm going to start with the curse of Neil Wagner, because Neil Wagner was such an important moment player for New Zealand, and his retirement was such an important moment in history of New Zealand cricket. This was an out and out warrior who used to bowl on dead pitches on day five and give victories to New Zealand again and again. He used to bowl his heart out. He used to bowl his lungs out. He would be on. He would have a broken toe, and he would keep on bowling like he did once against Pakistan on day five at Mount Maunganui. He would do anything for his team. He would give his life for the team. And this guy was not treated with proper respect by the management of Tim Southee and Gary Stead. And it was a very disappointing experience what happened in New Zealand when Australia were touring them. And Australia beat them. Even the cursed man, Alex Carey, who was cursed by entire England because of what he did to Johnny Bairstow, actually managed to score 98 and get back to the form and beat New Zealand in New Zealand. And yeah, man, after that I think the only way the curse could have been lifted was Tim Southee stepping down from captaincy, and that is exactly what happened just before the India tour. Tim Southee was very worried about his personal performance. He, in fact, after that debacleless performance in Sri Lanka, he told that I would not see myself in the 11 if there is a spin friendly conditions, and he would have been probably out of the 11 if Matt Henry would have been fit. Although you could say that he did enough with the bat, but yes, he uh, dropped himself as a captain and gave the captaincy to Tom Latham, and that's where you could say the curse got lifted. Or there is another factor, Rachin Ravindra and his family. India is known to be a country where grandmothers and mothers break the curses on on their children, and Rachin Ravindra may have met his grandmother, and she would have erased the curse of Neil Wagner. It is certainly a factor. I mean, look at this holy process. And India is known for this kind of thing. So that is one. What could be the other factors? The soul of Graham Dowling would have been venerated after seeing this kind of thing, where there was no test match played between Afghanistan and New Zealand. This test match was happening at an unusual venue, which is Greater Noida in Uttar Pradesh. This is not a big venue, it's not a test center as such. So they were having this test match, and there were not much rain during the play time, but there was a lot of overnight rain, and the ground staff, I don't know from where they came, but they hardly knew anything about drying the surface. They were doing some experimental shit, and yeah, they tried to dry the ground, but New Zealand and Afghanistan, what a frustrating experience. So New Zealand had a typical Indian experience, that experience of frustration. They got Indianized. You see what Rachin Ravindra's grandmother is doing and what they faced here in Greater Noida. They totally got Indianized, and they embraced the Indian culture in a way. New Zealand hardly complained. I heard a lot of complaints from Afghan players and management about this pitch and everything. But New Zealand hardly complained. They were relaxing in the dressing room. Afghan players even stopped coming to the dressing room. But I heard that New Zealand players were still coming out and doing their drills. But I mean, this is amazing. They totally got Indianized. They got a total Indian experience in terms of, the chaos that happens in subcontinent, the chaos that happens in India, where sometimes you just go there to a ground. It's not raining. It's been 5 days, but you can't play because, the outfield is wet. There are some 25 odd people doing experimental stuff on the ground, and you still can't get a game on. Plus, you have the catering service which is washing the dishes in the washroom of the dressing room, and some random thing is going. This is a typical Indian experience that New Zealand got, and they embrace the Indian culture. And this could have been a factor why New Zealand's were as good as India in India, because you have to really embrace the culture if you have to beat India in India, and this could have led to that. And I want to add another factor. These two people are part of New Zealand's Asia tour since they came for that match versus Afghanistan, which did not happen at all. But Rangana Herath is a guy who has dismissed the best of India's batting order. We all remember his performance in Gaul in 2015, how he dismissed India's best batsman for a total less than 120 on Independence Day, India's Independence Day. And there is Vikram Rathore, guys. Vikram Rathore, he knows, he's been batting coach of India forever. He knows in and out of every batsman, whether this batsman can sweep or not, whether he can step out or not, whether he'll play from back foot, whether he'll play from front foot. This guy knows everything about Indian batsmen. And these two, surprisingly, were the staff added to New Zealand's coaching staff before their Asia tour. Another big factor, what I realized is this phase of play in Sri Lanka. So New Zealand were totally down and out. In the first test, they did score 340, but it was mainly because of Kane Williamson showing some good defense and the pitch being still being very fair. But what happened in second test was the pitch was crumbling badly. Kamindu Mendes had scored a ton of runs, and here you are, New Zealand is already following on, and then in the last innings you see an amazing display of performance from Devon Conway, who just starts reverse sweeping. And remember what Ollie Pope did in India. Remember what Ollie Pope did in India. He just started reverse ramping and he beat India in a test match. And New Zealand thought, why not try this? And we had Devon Conway first starting of things, but then you had a phase. Actually, if you see at end of day three, they were 199 for five in 41 overs. And at the end of day four, when they got all out, they had scored 160 runs in 40 overs, and they had managed to actually, they were 121 for five. They had managed to score, 240 runs around with their last five batters. So this is incredible from New Zealand. What they discovered this strategy out of absolutely hopelessness and desperation. They thought nothing is going to work. Let's go and just reverse sweep and sweep. And first it started with Devon Conway, then Tom Blundell did it, then Glenn Phillips did it, then Mitchell Santner did it, and they managed to find this successful strategy. And this could have been the most important strategy as per me, because we saw, couple of knocks. We saw from Ollie Pope that he could just uh, do that, and we saw Travis Head in Indore also doing similar thing. They just took the pitch out of the equation, just kept sweeping, used their feet nicely. And the main reason was India batsmen didn't, again and again I have seen that, except for Rishabh Pant or Rohit Sharma, in some instances, I have not seen Indian batsmen actually trying to step out or sweep, or Virat Kohli adding that slog sweep to his game like he has added to his T20 game. I have not seen him doing that in test matches. And sometimes on these kind of pitches, you need to do that. In 2004 in Australia, yes, we gave them a pitch like Nagpur, what we did in Bangalore this time. We gave them a similar pitch, and the fast bowlers made use of it. But when it came to turning tracks, we won in Mumbai, but here we lost on a turning track, and this has been the problem that, whenever we make a fully turning track, we lose there unless someone saves us, like Akshar Patel saved us against Australia, or sometimes Ashwin saved us against England. Unless someone saves us from the lower order, we are not able to play spin well. We are not good players of spin, sweep, seaming and swinging ball. We are definitely not the best players. It's okay. It's not natural to us. But when it's spinning, I think our batsmen should be able to manage that and use their feet well, sweep well, employ shots. Look at Matthew Hayden in 2001 Australian tour. He used the sweep so brilliantly. Kevin Peterson did it in 2012. He swept, reverse swept, switch hit. He did everything in that tour. Then we saw Ollie Pope, then we saw Travis Head. So why our batsmen are not doing when it's very clear? And in this test match, you saw Devon Conway sweeping, you saw Tom Latham sweeping, you saw other batsmen sweeping and playing well. So why not our own batsmen? I mean, Sarfaraz Khan, he's such a beautiful sweeper of the ball. He didn't trust his sweep shot. He went for an inside out shot and got out to deep mid off. Virat Kohli tried the sweep once, but it was a full toss. I don't know what he was doing, but it was not a proper sweep. If it would have been a proper sweep, he would have made contact. So definitely there was practice missing on that sweep shot from Virat Kohli. So this is my thing now. The Rachin Ravindra's grandmom has reversed the curse of Neil Wagner, and now Graham Dowling's soul will be a little more easy, because now New Zealand have conquered India, and they have done it in style. They have done it with a captain who has not been their captain at all in 2023. He was your part-time captain in 2021 and 22. You've done it with a new captain. You've done it without your greatest pace attack of Tim Southey, Trent Bolt, and Neil Wagner. You have done it without your greatest batsman of this generation, Kane Williamson. You didn't even need, Mitchell Santner has done something which Daniel Vittori, we all know, the New Zealand spin goat, Daniel Vittori could achieve in New Zealand. Craig McMillan, Nathan Astle, uh, Stephen Fleming, so many great New Zealand batsmen have come to Indian shores, and they have not won a series or even a test match for that matter. But Tom Blundell, Glenn Phillips, and Glenn Phillips, man, what a story! He was a wicket keeper, suddenly turned into an off spinner. He made his debut in Bangladesh, played well there. Then he's been carried forward for that Asian tour, and he has made a very good impact. With his he doesn't flight the ball; he bowls very flat, but he's been effective because there is variable bounce in the pitch, which I thought the Indian bowlers did not take advantage of. They just kept bowling in an area. They should have tried to vary the pace, bowl shorter. If you bowl short, you can get dismissals like how you got dismissals of Ravindra Jadeja, who was pinned on the back foot. Ravichandran Ashwin, who was pinned on the back foot. Rishabh Pant trying that pull shot and getting bowled, middle stump gone. You could have got those kind of dismissals if you had tried to bowl short, which you did not. Also, I think the coaching is to be blamed here, because Gautam Gambhir must have surely said, just trust your own game, and every batter had a different game plan. But you needed more guidance than that. You can't just be a coach and say that generalistic things like trust your own game. You should have told them that step out. We saw Rohit Sharma actually stepping out but not playing any shot. He just defended it, and it was the easiest catch to short leg. So, you should have had that clarity if you step out, you are going to play the shot. I think Yashasvi Jaiswal did that once or twice. He had a back injury which hampered him. But still, Yashasvi Jaiswal, you can't give away those knocks. When you started your career, I felt that you had that ownership that every innings I will make it count for India. I think now Virat and Rohit have lost that feeling that they should make count of every innings that they play for India. But please, Yashasvi Jaiswal, Sarfaraz Khan also gave me a similar feeling. You had that thing that I will make every innings count whenever I play for India. Please don't lose that feelings. Once you are in 70s, you could have won that game for India. So I would request Yashasvi Jaiswal and Sarfaraz Khan to step up for the last test, which is going to be a crucial test in Mumbai, and give opportunities to Dhruv Jurel, who seemed very eager to play himself into glory and play spin well. So why not give chance to players like Dhruv Jurel? So that's it from my end. Thank you guys for watching this video. Hope you like the content, and please subscribe our channel Cricket Caviar for more content on cricket. Thank you.